Austrian Stocks in English. Austrian Stocks in English. Presented by Palfinger.
Yeah, welcome to Austrian Stocks in English, presented by Palfinger, the English-spoken weekly summary for the Austrian stock market, positioned every Sunday in the mostly German-language podcast Audio CDUD Indie Podcasts, Wiener Börse, Sport, Musik und mehr. My name is Christian, I'm the host of this podcast, and I will be later on joined by the absolutely smart Alison. The following script is based on our 21st Austria Weekly, and week 44 was the best week in 2023 with an ATX plus of 5.48%, with AT&S and Andritz 13% up. ATX is now back in positive year-to-date area. News came from Erste Group, Palfinger, Frequentis, OMV, AMS Osram, RHI Magnesita, Verbund, Andritz, AT&S, BAWAG, Lenzing, RBI, Kontron und voestalpine. And these news are spoken now by the absolutely smart Alison.
Thank you, Christian, for calling me absolutely smart. And these were the news of week 44. Monday, Erste Group Bank. The results of Erste Group Bank AG for the first 9 months of 2023 are characterized by a significant increase in operating business. Net interest income increased significantly to €5,422.30 million, plus 2.37%, €4,385.20 million, most strongly in Austria, on the back of higher market interest rates, as well as larger loan volume. Net fee and commission income rose to €1,937.60 million, plus 5.9%, €1,829.90 million. Growth was registered across all core markets, most notably in payment services but also in asset management. The net profit rose to €2,309.60 million, €1.647 million, on the back of the strong operating result and low-risk costs. Total assets increased to €337.2 billion, plus 4.1%, €323.9 billion. On the asset side, cash and cash balances declined to €31.9 billion, €35.7 billion. Loans and advances to banks rose to €28.1 billion, €18.4 billion, most notably in Austria and the Czech Republic. Loans and advances to customers have risen in all core markets year-to-date to €206.2 billion, plus 2.0%, €202.1 billion, with both retail and corporate loans volumes growing. Erste Group, weekly performance, 5.91%. Palfinger. In the first 3 quarters of 2023, lifting solutions provider Palfinger AG once again achieved record figures with €1,798.90 million in revenue, €165.0 million EBIT and a consolidated net result of €90.9 million as a result of a very good product mix and the implemented price increases taking full effect. The reduction in costs for freight and materials began to take effect during Q3. However, a highly challenging economic environment is forecast for 2024, for which Palfinger is already preparing today. The high demand for service cranes and truck-mounted forklifts led to growth in revenue of more than 30% in North America. In the future market of India, where Palfinger sees great potential for further growth, the marine sector experienced a good order intake as well. In Europe, inflation and high interest rates have had a negative impact on the economic environment, and the construction industry in particular is suffering from the negative effects with reduced order intake. Based on the current order book coverage, which lasts until the end of Q1 2024, the company expects revenue of €2.4 billion and an EBIT of over €200 million in 2023. Palfinger, weekly performance, 9.09%. Frequentis, NAV Canada, the Canadian air navigation service provider, has selected Frequentis to provide its standardized and interoperable X10 VCs for all air traffic control and flight specialists' communication facilities, representing one of the largest deployments of VCs and radio telephone gateways worldwide. This project will include all of NAV Canada's operational facilities and support sites, significantly improving communication across the whole Canadian airspace. Our next-generation VCs will reinforce the coherence of airspace operations throughout Canada and will support NAV Canada by streamlining the project roll-out as well as providing the necessary resilience and cybersecurity features required today and for the future, says Michael Lang, Managing Director Frequentis Canada. Maintaining the system across Canada's vast landscape and remote locations will be simplified with the X10th and client-operator working position concept, based on central deployment and monitoring of all locations. Frequentis, weekly performance, 1.40%. Tuesday AmSosRam announces revenues of €904 million. The adjusted EBIT margin came in at 7.9% at the upper end of the guided range of 5-8% due to a positive impact from tight cost control measures and some positive one-time effects with respect to funding. The company is seeing a strong design win traction in structurally growing markets, especially in automotive. We delivered a very solid quarter in a difficult market environment, especially driven by our strong core business in automotive. Our re-established the base strategy and efficiency program is on track. The execution of our financing plan is also progressing well, and we expect to be able to execute the new rights issue and the new bond placement before year-end, of course subject to market conditions, said Aldo Comper, CEO of AmSosRam. Weekly performance, 14.95%. OMV, Austrian-based oil, gas and chemicals group OMV generated sales of €29.4 billion in the first 9 months, 38% less than in the same period last year. According to the company, this is due to lower market prices. The CCS operating result before special items fell by 49% to €4.6 billion after 9 months, and the profit for the period fell by 48% to €1.9 billion. Further, the company announced the final investment decision to build an innovative sorting plant developed by Interzero to produce feedstock for chemical recycling. In total, OMV will invest an amount of over €170 million to build a state-of-the-art facility in Waldern, southern Germany. OMV will hold 89.9% of the shares in the joint venture and 10.1% of the shares will belong to Interzero, Europe's leading provider of circular economy solutions. OMV, weekly performance, 0.72%. RHI Magnesita, global supplier of high-grade refractory products, systems and solutions, today provides an update on trading for the 3 months to September 30, 2023 Q3. The group's EBITDA margin in Q3 reduced slightly to 11.2%, from 11.6% in H1 2023. Refractory margin remains strong with a relatively low contribution from vertical integration at 1.8%, as guided. The EBITDA delivered in the third quarter, outperformance in the delivery of M&A synergies in the year-to-date and seasonally higher volumes in cement and lime anticipated in Q4. Adjusted EBITDA guidance for the full year is increased from €360 million to at least €380 million. RHI Magnesita, weekly performance, 7.64%. Wednesday Frequentis Defense, Inc. FDI is pleased to welcome Brian Bruckbauer as its incoming president. Mr. Bruckbauer will join FDI on February 1, 2024, taking over as president effective April 1, 2024. For the last 2 years Mr. Bruckbauer served as the president and CEO of the Air Traffic Control Association, ATCA, where he led the organization on a new strategic path to advance airspace integration for all airspace users. Previous to that, he retired from the U.S. Air Force as a brigadier general in 2021. Mr. Bruckbauer commanded at the wing, group, and squadron levels, was the senior military assistant to the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, was a fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, and was deployed twice to Afghanistan. In his final position he oversaw all U.S. Air Force foreign military sales as the Director of Air Force Security Assistance and Cooperation, a $226 billion portfolio serving 118 countries. Notable was him becoming the first U.S. Air Force Corps Air Traffic Control Officer to achieve the rank of General Officer. Frequentis, weekly performance, 1.40%. Thursday Verbund, Austrian utility company Verbund reported earnings for the first 3 quarters 2023. EBITDA climbed by 83.6% year-on-year to €3,549.30 m. The reported group result rose by 85.9% to €1,980.60 m, and the group result after adjustment for non-recurring effects was up 103.6%, Non-recurring effects in Q January 3, 2023, Euros 20.2 m, Q January 3, 2022, Euro plus 82.6 m. The positive income trend compared with the previous year is attributable primarily to higher electricity production on the strength of a better water supply, the rise in average sales prices, higher earnings contributions from the acquisition and commissioning of the new renewable generation facilities, and improved earnings contributions from regulated infrastructure, electricity and gas grids. At 0.93, the hydro coefficient for the run-of-river power plants was 7 percentage points below the long-term average but 9 percentage points above the comparative prior year figure. Verbund, weekly performance, 2.17%. Andritz, International Technology Group. Andritz achieved strong increases in revenue, earnings, and net income in the third quarter of 2023 compared to the previous year's reference period. The group has thus continued the positive development of the previous quarters. Total order intake declined from the previous year's reference quarter, which included a large pulp mill order. However, order intake increased in the business areas hydro, metals, and separation. The order intake for sustainable solutions and products was very satisfactory. After entering the green hydrogen market with its first engineering order in the second quarter of 2023, Andritz booked its first order for the supply of a complete green hydrogen plant in the third quarter. German steel producer Salzgitter Group selected Andritz to supply one of the largest green hydrogen plants in Europe as part of its sustainable transformation program. Andritz CEO Joachim Schunbeck stated, "Our products and solutions serving the green transition of the economy are increasingly contributing to our order intake. We are steadily expanding this product range, reaffirming our commitment to innovation and sustainability." The solid growth in our service revenues continued in the third quarter, helping us to further stabilize our business. Andritz, weekly performance, 13.40%. AT&S recorded a decline in revenues by 24% to €814 million in the first half of 2023/24, PY, €1,070 million. Adjusted for currency effects, consolidated revenue fell by 21%. This development was primarily driven by the fundamental changes in the economic environment. However, within the first half of the financial year, a significant increase was recorded in both segments. Compared with the first quarter, revenue in the second quarter rose by 30% in the Electronics Solutions segment and by 18% in the Microelectronics segment. Profit for the period declined from €224 million to €49 million. Although the economic environment has changed fundamentally compared to last year and we have been confronted with many challenges, we have been able to continue the recovery shown at the beginning of the financial year, says AT&S CEO Andreas Gerstenmayer, and explains, "We introduced efficiency and cost optimization programs in a timely manner. Not only are these measures taking effect faster than planned, they have also significantly improved the earnings situation." Gerstenmayer sees positive trends for the future. Even though we expect market volatility to continue for the time being, the major trends regarding digitalization and electrification remain intact and offer AT&S clear growth opportunities. AT&S, weekly performance, 13.74%. BOAG, banking group BOAG announces the receipt of all regulatory approvals for the acquisition of Peak Bancorp, the holding company for Idaho First Bank, a state-chartered community bank. Shareholders' equity of Peak Bancorp stands at just under $50 million as of September 30, 2023. The purchase price is in line with the original agreement and set at $65 million. Anasa Buzakauk, CEO, commented, "We are excited about the acquisition of Peak Bancorp and the many opportunities this presents for the group. Despite the various challenges faced by the U.S. banking sector this year, we have been pleased with the performance of Idaho First Bank, which reflects the financial strength and resilience of the franchise as well as the quality of leadership and the broader team. This acquisition provides BOAG Group with a U.S. banking platform to drive organic growth in Idaho and across the United States, adding yet another channel for growth." BOAG, weekly performance, 9.55%. Friday Lenzing, the anticipated recovery in markets relevant for the Lenzing Group, a leading global supplier of specialty fibers for the textile and nonwovens industries, has to date failed to materialize. Revenue in the first three quarters of 2023 decreased by 5.3% year-on-year to €1.87 billion. This reduction was primarily due to lower fiber revenues, while pulp revenues were up. The net result after tax amounted to minus 96.7 million euros, compared with 74.9 million euros in the first 3 quarters of 2022, while earnings per share amounted to minus 4.90 euros, compared with 2.16 euros in the first 3 quarters of 2022. Building on this, the Managing Board is currently implementing a comprehensive performance program with the overriding objective of significantly enhanced long-term resilience to crises and greater agility in the face of market changes. In addition to the positive effects on sales, the Managing Board expects annual cost savings of more than 100 million euros, of which approximately 50% will be effective from the coming financial year. Lensing, weekly performance, 3.27%. RBI. Raiffeisen Bank International, RBI achieved a consolidated profit of 2.114 billion euros in the first 3 quarters of 2023. Core revenues, net interest income as well as net fee and commission income, without the Russian and Belarusian business rose by 20% year-on-year. We are very satisfied with the first 3 quarters. The good earnings development persisted in the third quarter. At the same time, the reduction of our Russian business continues to make good progress, said RBI CEO Johann Strobel. In the reporting period, impairment losses on financial assets were significantly lower at 251 million euros than in the comparable period of 721 million euros. Impairment losses in Eastern Europe continue to dominate due to the ongoing Russian war of aggression in Ukraine. Risk costs in Eastern Europe totaled 225 million euros compared to 569 million euros in the previous year period. 147 million euros, previous year period. 299 million euros related to Russia and 74 million euros, previous year period. 247 million euros to Ukraine. RBI, weekly performance, 10.82%. Contron, in the first 9 months, revenue of IAT company Contron increased by a total of 14.0% to 860.9 million euros compared to the same period of the previous year. 1-9M 2022, 755.0 million euros. The gross margin improved from 36.2% in the same period to 39.6% in the first 9 months of 2023. EBITDA jumped by 39.9% to 95.9 million euros, 1-9M 2022, 68.5 million euros, which corresponds to an EBITDA margin of 11.1%. Consolidated net income attributable to Contron shareholders from continuing operations for the first 9 months of 2023 amounted to 52.8 million euros compared to 24.3 million euros in the same period of 2022. Earnings per share, undiluted, including discontinued operations, increased significantly to 86 cents in the past 9-month period. 1-9M 2022, 51 cents. Hannes Niederhauser, CEO of Contron AG. The strategic realignment of the new Contron with its own technologies is a resounding success. Despite fears of recession, we recorded continuous growth in order intake in Q3 2023, which increased the order backlog to 1,655 million euros. That is 195 million euros more than at the beginning of the year. This means that all planned revenues and growth for 2024 are essentially already covered. With our new high-security operating system costs and solutions in the area of artificial intelligence, AI, growth will accelerate even further. Based on this very positive development, we are raising our outlook for net income for 2023 for the second time from euros 66 million to euros 72 million. This represents an increase of more than 30% compared to the previous year. Contron, weekly performance, 8.91%. Voestalpine, the Supervisory Board of Voestalpine AG appointed Gerald Mayer, currently CEO of AMAG, to its management board. He will take over as CFO from April 1, 2024. His term of office is 3 years. As with all initial appointments, Gerald Mayer replaces Robert Ottel, who has not extended his mandate and will leave Voestalpine AG at the end of March 2024. Voestalpine, weekly performance, 5.79%. And now bye-bye from Alison
and Christian. We wish you a great week. Hear you next Sunday.
Austrian Stocks in English. Austrian stocks in English. Listen, this the whole thing on. Austrian stocks in English. Listen, this the whole thing on. Listen, this the whole